Greetings of the day, dear scholars. Today we are going to have a look on the 30th sonnet of Shakespeare, which is generally known by the name Remembrance. As the name suggests, Shakespeare talks about the remembrance of his past. To understand what Shakespeare says, first let's have a look at the text of the sonnet. When to the sessions of sweet silent thought I summon up remembrance of things past, I sigh the lack of many a thing I sought, and with old woes new wail my dear time's waste. Then can I drown an eye unused to flow for precious friends hid in death's dateless night, and weep afresh love's long since cancelled woe, and mourn the expense of many a vanished sight. Then can I grieve at grievances foregone, and heavily from woe to woe tell over the sad account of fore bemoaned moan, which I now pay as if not paid before. But if the while I think on thee, dear friend, all losses are restored and sorrows end. As the title of the poem suggests, remembrance. Shakespeare talks about remembrance, and remembrance suggests that we always remember things which have passed our path, and now we cannot come in contact with those experiences or those persons in the present or in future. There is always a sense of nostalgia and a sense of loss which underlines the sentiment of remembrance. So, when Shakespeare says, when to the sessions of sweet silent thought, he says that the thought of the past is sweet and silent. When to the sessions of sweet silent thought, I summon up remembrance of things past. I summon up, I call, I recollect the remembrance, the memories of things that have now left my present state of being. I sigh the lack of many a thing I sought. I was seeking for many things. I was running after many things. I was chasing many things. But now all those things are lost. I sigh the lack of many a thing I sought, and with old woes new wail my dear time's waste. The more I think of such things, the more I think of what I was desiring for, what I was yearning for, and how I have lost them, the more the pain inside me starts aggravating. So he says, the woe in me goes on multiplying. Then can I drown an eye unused to flow for precious friends hid in death's dateless night. Shakespeare says, then can I drown an eye unused to flow. Whenever I think about the past that has left me weeping, then I start drowning my eyes in tears. I start mourning over those losses. And why do I weep? I weep because the things that I was thinking about, or those things that had once been with me and have now left me, were very precious, especially for precious friends hid in death's dateless night. He says the friends that were there with me in my past days, they were very precious. They were real good friends and very loyal too. So now I feel that the friends that I have lost were really very precious to my being, and now they have gone into the lap of death, and they have gone into an arena where there is datelessness, there is night, there is darkness, there is unending darkness. So my friends, my dear and precious friends, have left me and gone into a place where I can never have them back, or I can never have their company back. And weep afresh, love's long since cancelled woe. The more I think of my friends, the more I go on and on weeping. Each time I think of them, each time there is a fresh surge of pain in my heart. There is a fresh surge of tears in my eyes. And mourn the expense of many a vanquished sight. Many sights, very expensive, very treasurable. Now they have faded from my sight as well as from the whole neighborhood where I would like to seek them or search for them. So even if I crave for them, I will reach nowhere. Then can I grieve at grievances foregone. I go on grieving, and I find that grievances had been there, they have left me, and still a part of the grievances still remains with me. I go on grieving, thinking of what I had and what I have lost, and heavily from woe to woe tell over the sad account of fore bemoaned moan. The account of my mourning is terrible, is really very intense, and I cannot express how painful it is to think of the treasures that were with me and can be no more, which I now pay as if not paid before. Shakespeare becomes very intense in the calculation of his pain. He says, perhaps I was supposed to pay to these relationships, to these connections, to these bonds of friendship, of love, of brotherhood, whatever connections he had. He says, I was supposed to pay for them. Probably I might have missed paying something. So that is why now I am paying through the pain as my currency. But if the while I think on thee, dear friend, all losses are restored and sorrows end. In the ending couplet, Shakespeare says that if the while I think on thee, dear friend, he addresses a friend whose name has not been disclosed. He says, dear friend, if I think of you, all losses are restored. Probably all my losses are compensated by the very memory of your having been there in my life once upon a time, and sorrows end. And when I think about you, when I think there was a time when I had you as a friend, then I feel all my sorrows come to an end. It means you, the memories that are connected to you, they make my life very rich. In this sonnet, Shakespeare has used sort of legal terms like session, summon. So these are words which are actually used in the legal term, but he has used a very different type of vocabulary which suits his purpose very well. So a few words which are very important for the students to take note of are summon, a call in a formal manner. remembrance, the ability to recall past occurrences. Woe, intense misery. Wail, cry or weep. Precious, of high worth. Dateless, unaffected by the boundaries of time. Moan, show one's unhappiness or sorrow. Vanish, disappear, become invisible or unnoticeable. Bemoan, regret strongly or lament. Restored, return to original form. So now there is one very important thing that this poem needs to be taken care of, and that is the universal element of the poem is so strong that whenever you read it as a student, as an ordinary reader, even as a layman, if somebody reads it, then too there will be a tear in his eye, because each and every person who reads it can relate to this poem. So we can say that this sonnet is universal in its temperament, and this makes Shakespeare what he really was. Shakespeare remains Shakespeare. Thank you.